Today, we're going to go into the top reasons why carnivore diets fail. What's up, everyone? Welcome to my very humble channel. Let's get into it. Now, I look at the comment section of my videos and people absolutely go berserko when I speak negatively of low-carb ketogenic diets. And so I thought I would do it again. Now, the top carnivore problems, let's get into it, because the people out there who are very dogmatic and obsessed with carnivore, it just hurts their soul to the point where they have to make comments on my channel when I say something. Now, if I was completely incorrect, they would probably never comment and move the frack on. But they don't. What I'm saying is triggering. What I recommend for you carnivore culties is to get a glucometer. Pretty simple. Not a CGM. That's a continuous glucose monitor. They are great to check the algorithm, but absolutely horrible in the references of blood sugar numbers. They tend to run low and not be accurate. But a blood glucometer, like there's one called Flora, there's one called the Mojo, there's Precision Extra. There's a couple different brands that measure ketones and glucose, which that's what most people don't do. They don't test for both. If you're going to test for too much protein, you're going to go and test before you eat that protein, right before, 10 minutes before, and up to 2 hours later. You can even test the next day, fasted, or 2 hours after a meal, and watch your glucose. I don't even care what the ketones are. If the glucose is too high, the ketones come out into your urine and you don't use them. And as you guys know, I've done a ton of videos talking about people eating too much protein. They smell like this weird kind of like chemical smell. They often have foamy pee, back pain. They have chronic dehydration. They've got issues with their thyroid, their adrenals, reproductive hormones, because you can't get glycogen storages from all that protein. And you don't need all that protein to build muscle. Now, Sean Baker just did a video saying, I looked at a study. Now, we know these studies are jokes. They're a joke. They often do rat studies, or they'll do the study for too short of a time, or they'll only work with one type of population. With that said, the glucometer is really the way to test for high blood sugar. Basically, what your body does not digest and use is reconverted back into glucose and then stored. Now, if you're a person who works out, you're able to uptake that glucose through GLUT4 receptors and use it more readily available than somebody who is not super fit or have a lean mass. But most people don't. Most people are overweight. Most people have thyroid issues. Most people have chronic fatigue. And they're using protein for fuel, like petrol or gasoline into a tank. That won't work. You'll start to notice over time. And here's the thing with the carnivore flu or the carnivore issues. People don't notice them at first, and you may not even notice anything for 5 years. I didn't notice that my electrolytes were tanking 5 years into my ketogenic journey. I didn't notice at all. I was a boss. I had strength at the gym. I didn't have any muscle cramps. This is for 5 years. But when it came, you guys saw that low magnesium created melasma on my skin. Figure that one out, as you guys can see. That melasma was like dark chocolate drops on my face. It was like, looked like this on both cheeks and all over my forehead and everywhere. Magnesium is so important when it comes to your hormones. You can't do a carnivore diet without managing your magnesium, potassium, and your sodium. So you cannot get enough of those from the meat itself. Of course, in the comment section, there's a dum-dum going, oh, you can get all the electrolytes you need from your meat. Okay, go ahead and do that. And allow 5 years to pass. And allow heart palpitations, heart damage. I mean, the list goes on and on. Since I mentioned the thyroid, let's talk about it some more. The reason why people develop thyroid issues on carnivore is because they're not eating enough fat and eating too much protein. I mean, besides the whole kidney issue, biliary duct of the organs, the liver, the kidney, the gallbladder, all of those from eating too much protein, the high uric acid, the urea, purines. Besides that, your bone creatinine ratio and your GFR, the problem is that you are not in a state of ketosis. Excess protein converts into glucose. So when you eat all that protein, at first you feel satiated. You might even notice a drop in your insulin and glucose. But over time, and then you begin to suffer the problems of not being adapted. The adrenals, and the reason why a lot of people don't feel tired on a high protein carnivore diet is because their adrenals are totally freaking out. And they are doing what? They are producing cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, the breakdown of amino acids, and you may not notice flabbiness until it's too late. Until it's too late. You cannot get energy that suffices the thyroid from protein. It's either got to be fat or glycogen from carbs or sugars. And let's talk about the hormones. Again, in the beginning, people might, with fasting, people might notice a drop in their insulin, but most people don't test insulin. So let's just skirt that and talk about your A1C. Look at your A1C on all that protein. Typically, it runs high. Every once in a while, you get someone who they don't have high A1C. There was a guy in my comment section. He's like, I'm lean and I fast and I eat protein and I'm black and I'm not wrinkly. And I was like, well, you are black. Now, black does wrinkle. But maybe he has the beer goggles. Because a lot of people, I mean, when you have brown skin, you don't get the fine lines like you do with lighter skin, especially if you're toxic. But you still lose collagen, and I can see it around the jowls. Yeah. But the point is, if one person in my comment section is saying that they did great on high protein and fasting, then that's all it takes for the one person who's very culty and the people who want to believe in that narrative. But the reality is, again, these carnivore problems are hormones, reproductive hormones, because you're not in ketosis, thyroid hormones, because you're not in ketosis, and you're not giving the thyroid what it needs. And if you look at my comment section when I do liver videos, most people, especially in the US, don't like liver. So the thyroid's like, squeeze me, I'm not getting zinc, copper, iodine, selenium, vitamin C, and I'm not in ketosis. So the T3 begins to, or it doesn't get into the cells. And that's a whole nother video about the thyroid, right? Lots of people are having thyroid symptoms and don't recognize it at all because they'll test and the test will come back normal, but they have all the symptomology. Hypoglycemia, dysglycemia, and crepey skin people are developing on carnivore because the body has to go into this cortisol response to keep the blood sugar stable because you can't get enough glycogen storages off of protein. Just can't. Like I said, people don't notice that they're tired because the adrenals are like barfing out bolus amounts of cortisol and then adrenaline. And if the body's cranking out those, you're not going to go eat Panda Express because you're running from a lion. Your body is under stress. That's why you're not hungry. But then when you do eat, you're eating too late. And often people develop this leptin resistance signaling towards the end of the day. They start binging on large amounts of protein which then you start to see a drop in the GFR. But most people don't test that, who say that they do amazing on high protein. When you don't want to believe that the carnivore diet is giving you any problems, you're not going to see the tip of your nose on your face. People won't see what they don't want to see. It's like the last 3 years. Oh, I got Slovid. Oh, my neighbor got Slovid. No, you didn't get Slovid. You got something else, but it wasn't that. And they're so convinced, because it's like telephone. By the time it gets to the other person, they are convinced of whatever they're hearing. And this is the same thing about carnivore. People become obsessed because they lose weight, or their inflammation might go down temporarily. But because I've done keto for 16 years, if you were to talk to me within the first 5 years before I developed melasma or the severe cramps or facial twitching, I would do the same. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best ever. It's fabulous. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. And then because I'm a guru, then people believe me and they'll just follow everything I say. Yeah. Sometimes people don't see the end of their nose on their face because they don't want to see that they're aging exponentially on carnivore, that they are having a low eGFR, that their glucose has become destabilized because they have some benefits from being on carnivore, which is why I tell people to do carnivore for the short-term benefits, then jump off before your hormones tank or your electrolytes tank. And you could be on it for years and notice nothing. But then when it comes, like it did for me, it comes, and I mean, you get fracked. When I started having hormone issues, being on keto, because I was not balancing my electrolytes, I would preach it in videos, but I felt fine until I didn't. And always remember, keto and carnivore are the same diet. They should be. They should always be high fat. And if you are not pooping or you have diarrhea because you're on carnivore, don't listen to these numbknuckles saying, oh, well, if you're not pooping, it's because you're using all the protein. Because that's dangerous, right? Because now you've become constipated, and then the body is dehydrated and it's trying to get any fluid that it can, so it draws it from the colon, and then poop becomes like Velcro to the wall. And then that poop becomes reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, and you're eating so much of it. Yes, those are my top be carefuls on a carnivore diet, because we haven't even gotten into the organ meats or the quality of the meat, and all of this matters. It really, really does. But in the beginning, you're going to feel satiated on all that protein. But over time, your sleep jacks, and people age. Now, you can go back to my video catalog and see that I have taken down exponentially the inflammatory responses I was going through in my older videos when I was doing keto hardcore and I was eating and I wasn't minding my electrolytes and I wasn't paying attention to organ meats like I do now, or I wasn't paying attention to balancing my cortisol. It's interesting, once you crack the code on your body, what you can actually do with it through epigenetics. But if you keep being in denial because you have a couple benefits from doing carnivore and you're into your second and third year and you're fasting, doing carnivore, just wait. Because it'll be like a boom, bomb, explodes. And I know this because I saw it in myself, and I see it in hundreds, if not thousands of clients that I've worked with over the years. And that's the thing. I'm not going by these stupid studies. They're stupid. I remember the first ketogenic study was for 30 days with twins. You're not going to adapt in 30 days. You have to develop the equipment, the enzymes, enzymatic responses to have your body do what it needs to do. You need to get your stress down. And that's another thing on carnivore. Carnivore becomes a stress to the body simply because you are not in ketosis. So be careful and eat your organ meats. and eat every couple of hours and check your blood sugar. And do not overeat that protein because you're trying to develop insulin sensitivity and not insulin resistance. If you guys want to learn more, book a consultation. I've done this for a long time. And for those who just started following me, I know it's hard to conceptualize. They can just go, "You're wrong." That's it. I'm like, well, just go get a glucometer. You're wrong. Okay. But they still watch the channel. Stephanie Ketogenic on my Instagram, Stephanie the Business Person on my Facebook fan page, and I also run a course where I cover all 3 diets because I learned that some people can't do carnivore because they have a low eGFR or they have thyroid issues or blood sugar issues, and then some people can't do anything but carnivore, and so then we've got to learn how to rotate those vegetables. Like today I had a consultation. I said, we'll start off with a tablespoon of a prebiotic fiber, just a tablespoon. And then slowly we will titrate up and get that gut used to these vegetables, again, by strengthening the gut wall. And I'm going to do a video about bone broth because stop. We got the glutamate problem and the oxalate problem. Just bake your bone marrow and eat it out. Don't liberate the oxalates in the water. And I'm out. Get ready for the challenge. It's coming around the corner soon. Energy. Now I got to go to the butcher and get some meat for me and my new puppy. Peace.